Sovereign citizens of the Soviet Union.
Советского Союза.
The time of awakening has come.
Просыпаться.
Send it. We have only one condition. Unconditional surrender. They thought they were invincible. They capitulated forever. All those who enslaved nations no longer have strength, power, rights. Their banks do not work. They have no money. They have nothing. They did not prevent the determination and strength of the great sovereign land, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics and their descendants. Our ancestors fought in the time of darkness. Now it's our turn. The State Committee on the State of Emergency of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, as the supreme body of state power, restored Soviet power throughout the territory of the USSR. Therefore, attention please. The 350 million inhabitants of the great sovereign land, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, are entitled to the payment of compensation in the amount of 9,000 M0M1 XAU GSR gold Soviet rubles, which will be credited to accounts in the Gosbank of the Soviet Union. The State Treasury of the USSR and the State Bank of the USSR have allocated funds in gold Soviet rubles to the state budget of the republics of internal subjects of the USSR for the fourth quarter of 2023 and for the year 2024 funds in gold Soviet rubles in the amount of 33,340,000,000 gold Soviet rubles M0 M1 XAU GSR. The supreme organ of the USSR state power ordered to prepare all the necessary documents and technical possibilities for the restoration and for the sustainable systemic functioning of the social security of the sovereign citizens of the USSR, the permanent dignified payment of pensions to all Soviet pensioners.
Достойные выплаты пенсий всем советским пенсионерам.
The Gosbank of the Soviet Union is fully operational. Every sovereign citizen of the Soviet Union can open an account on the website.
Может открыть свой личный счет.
You haven't heard anything like this in the mainstream media. The media is the only thing they have left.
Оружие наших врагов, которое у них осталось.
The Soviet Union never ceased to exist and was restored through legal action.
Последовательных правовых шагов был полностью восстановлен.
According to the decree, the State Committee on the State of Emergency decided on the highest degree of punishment, the death penalty, for all officials performing official functions in the State Cooperative Enterprise Russian Federation, Russia.
Служебные функции в государственном кооперативном предприятии РФ Россия.
Mishustin's government has no rights and titles. It is subject to liquidation. The post of Secretary of the Security Council of Russia, held by Patrushev, is also being abolished. You can find all the necessary information and documents on the https://governmentussr.su website. All the commands and everything you need to be able to use your rights and not be afraid to stand against the enemy.
Не бояться противостоять врагу.
Sovereign citizens of the Soviet Union. The time has come to wake up, join forces, and build a bright future according to the KON of creation. Everything is in our hands.
Созидание. Все в наших руках.
The history of the financial system was one of the greatest kept secrets. Very few people were privy to the information about what assets the entire financial system was built on. Those who controlled the world during this age of darkness operated on the basis of trusts. When one of the historical trusts ended and the young Soviet Republic was destroyed by civil war, the ruble had almost no value. Different kinds of money were printed.
Рубль почти не имел никакой ценности. Печатались различные виды денег.
The stabilization of the ruble at that time was hindered by famine, blockades, and interventions. The bread costed millions. A good example is a newspaper that costed 40,000 rubles on Tuesday, May 16, 1922, and 20,000 more the next day.
А на следующий день стоило на 20 тысяч больше.
Nevertheless, Russia managed to revive the economy. The strongest production plants stabilized the ruble and its value gradually increased. This is where Chervonets was born, the only one for the whole country. Emission of 500 billion ruble in one Chervonets. The emission helped the huge growth in the following 5-year plans and also helped in the transition during the war years. It was only in 1947 that the Chervonets changed to this money, which reflected the work and well-being of the Soviet people. Ruble was not subject to inflation. It did not know the budget deficit strategy, and every year the state budget was filled with a large surplus of revenues over expenditures. How did Stalin achieve this? The entire world financial system has always been built on the historical assets of white spiritual boy corporation global company. Stalin, as the victor of the war, was privy to this secret. By signing the New World Order Trust, secured cover and sovereignty for the citizens of the Soviet Union. When Stalin was poisoned, only traitors came to power. One of them, Mikhail Gorbachev, even confessed to it. In 1999, at the American University in Istanbul, you said that the goal of your whole life was the destruction of communism? I said that. The coup in 1993 was organized by the terrorist Zionist movement led by Chabad Lubavitch. First of all, it was necessary to take control over financial resources. The Central Bank of the Russian Federation was established earlier than the Russian Federation itself. By stealing Soviet accounts, the West survived another 30 years. The Russian Federation was a corporation that has now been changed to the State Cooperative Enterprise Russian Federation, Russia. Do you want to go to Moscow? Is there no other option? These accounts are untitled and scattered around the world. Those are secret accounts, Rob. Fortunately, they were unable to find them. And how did you find them? You pay me for that. I still, but not for such diligence. Are they stealing our money? I don't know what to think. Yes, it's all very unpleasant. You deal with internal control. Can I ask you? Try not to deprive the company of its most profitable partner. Please, I am not joking. It is about Russia. Confidential information is used to its full extent there, and the communist ideology was replaced by the ideology of making money. It is not a country, but a large corporation, and that's why we work there. No need to rock the boat. It's not a boat, it is a luxury yacht. And we are all on board. Don't sink us all. No, the West does not want to destroy it. Understand? You misunderstand the situation. The Russian Federation is a state created by the West to enslave, exploit, and colonize the defeated Soviet Union and its territory. Understand? West. When you say West, West, Putin defends, attack on Putin, destruction of Russia. Russia is destroyed. It turned into a corporation to drain raw materials, money, and human material from here. I think that overthrowing this system is the only and main national interest of our people if they want to survive in history. The situation looked hopeless. Soviet Union colonized by a foreign power. However, not everyone gave up. A group of patriots looked for a legal way to reverse it. Members of the KGB also appeared, who did not betray during the coup and established the People's Council of the Community of Soviet Socialist Republics, which had the mandate of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR. The mandate includes legal, judicial, executive, and financial power. During the coup there was a fight between traitors and patriots. 6,000 people were executed in cold blood. Despite this, the People's Military Council kept fulfilling this mandate. In this mandate, those documents were declassified at that time. I myself was part of the group that declassified the archive. And one of the duplicates from the archive is currently available on the website for people to read and familiarize themselves with. The original documents are under special protection. There are several copies of them. The documents show that the Soviet Union did not collapse and retained its rights. After the declassification of the documents, the group began to work on how to legally restore the USSR. The first step was to get out from under colonization, for which there is a special committee for decolonization in the UN. In accordance with the UN statutes, the National Liberation Movement of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics was founded. Based on the resolution of the Military Council of the USSR, which had a mandate, these documents were delivered to the UN.
Верховного Совета СССР. Эти документы были переданы в ООН.
This was followed by a request to register NOD with the UN. Since the UN saw that the movement was founded on the basis of the Military People's Council of the USSR, we obtained the accreditation status of the self-government of the Soviet Union. In English it is called local government.
Local government.
The next step was to find an ideal model to change everything so as not to break the law. The best option was to establish a consumer cooperative. The USSR was one of the main initiators of the creation of consumer cooperatives in the world. A cooperative brings together people who work together and create a society that can create to achieve its goals. All this is made possible by international law and the legislation of the USSR. The norms of international law have passed into the statute of the International Law on Consumer Cooperatives. This model appeared to be the best for a painless transition of society to the new world. The entire old financial system, the entire parasitic model, is also built on a cooperative basis. For example, Washington, District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. The entire financial system of America is a cooperative of the Rockefellers. The financial system of Great Britain is a cooperative of the Rothschilds. Switzerland is also a cooperative. The whole of Switzerland is a country because it has a territory and a population. It is also a cooperative, cantonal law. The whole system is cooperative. SWIFT, Basel, Brussels, these are cooperatives. The safest form of ownership is a share, PIE. In an international consumer cooperative, the cooperative has a special character in the legal space, and that is that it is a company that is protected by international law. This is written directly in the law. It means that the cooperative can create, organize, and manage the whole structure. All financial and economic activities inside and outside the company.
Внутри и за пределами общества.
Consumer cooperatives saved the situation more than once during sharp turns of history, even during times of war, and also in other, heated political times. Because they have a very convenient, neutral international legislation. When we enter the international consumer cooperative, what does the consumer cooperative bring? It carries out the function of the state. And in all countries of the world, based on the international law on consumer cooperatives, any tax authorities no longer have any claims against consumer cooperatives when these become international organizations. Because it is a society that fulfills the same function as the state. And when society unites internally, it regulates itself. A cooperative with international status can create its own treasury, just like the state. The advantage is that this treasury is international and not limited to local laws. The treasury is not subject to the control of the regulator, which means that no central bank, IMF or World Bank can regulate this institution. So it turned out that the founding of the international consumer cooperative like Great Russia was the best step. As the first shareholder, the RA Fund entered like Great Russia, to which the Order of Hospitallers at that time handed over 11,500 tons of gold. Other shareholders also came, and thus a balance appeared in the treasury, which exceeded the budget of the Russian Federation twice. It was a real right to bank gold, located in the top 15 banks of the world. Right after that, an application was submitted for UN accreditation for the Light Great Russia Cooperative as an international ex-continental sovereign company, because when a foreign shareholder was accepted, Light Great Russia became an international cooperative.
Странного пайщика Светлая Великая Русь стала международным кооперативом.
Everything was brought to the attention of the Russian Federation Corporation. At the same time, we submitted an application for international financial accreditation to be recognized by the global community.
Мировым сообществом.
This accreditation is created on the UN Global Marketplace platform, which all international institutions, such as the World Bank and also the IMF, use.
Как Всемирный банк и Международный валютный фонд.
We have obtained access codes, also called secret financial affiliation, to the UN.
Связью с ООН.
Only UN officers at the appropriate level have access to this platform.
Соответствующего уровня.
Managers of large financial assets have understood that our system has power.
Система обладает силой.
Many investors therefore showed interest in transferring assets to our treasury.
В наше казначейство.
One of these companies was White Spiritual Boy Corporation Global, which owns the right to all the sacred gold in the world.
На все сакральное золото мира.
Its existence was a secret. One of its symbols, a triangle with an eye, is also depicted on American banknotes. The parasites made it a symbol of the New World Order.
Мирового порядка.
In reality, it is the system of Mother Earth, the Een system, and the eye represents the eye of the god Ra.
Бога Ра.
The New World Order was Stalin's trust, which we will talk about later. All information is twisted. It is important to understand why the protectors of all the historical assets of the world decided to enter Light Great Russia.
Русь.
More than 1 billion tons of white spiritual boy sacred gold were deposited into the World Bank's global account between 1960 and 1962.
Было депонировано на глобальный счет Всемирного банка.
They divided this account among other financial institutions, such as the Vatican Bank, the Central Bank of the Philippines, the Bank of Mongolia, and other central and systemic banks. Likewise to the State Bank of the USSR. With this step, the financial system was definitively approved by all countries of the world.
Всеми странами мира.
At that time, the new gold Soviet ruble was also issued.
Советский рубль.
New money entered the life of our country.
Пошли новые деньги.
On the designated day, exchange offices opened their doors all over the country. This is how our ruble grew. You can buy a lot for it. $5 rubles can fill an entire shopping bag.
Хозяйственную сумку.
A new ruble entered our lives.
Нашу жизнь.
The wealth of the Soviet country is growing, and the welfare of our people is growing along with it.
Нашего народа.
Before this division in the 60s, the Bretton Woods Agreement was made in 1943,
Было заключено Бреттон-Вудское соглашение.
also based on white spiritual boy assets. The deal meant they took some of those gold funds off the balance sheet.
Была выведена за баланс.
The Soviet Union participated in the Bretton Woods negotiations, but did not ratify the agreement. Stalin signed the New World Order in 1943, a 72-year trust that ended in 2016.
Который закончился в 2016 году.
That is why the Soviet Union was making money.
Зарабатывал деньги.
The Soviet Union practically did not touch the 5 million tons of gold allocated to it by White Spiritual Boy. Unlike all other states, the Americans received 10 million tons for their private company Fed. For America, for its development, as a corporation, the Soviet Union received 5 million tons from White Spiritual Boy. Stalin practically did not touch them. He created a model where it is possible to have these energies, but not to spend them, but to earn. The Soviet Union made so much money, so much gold, created so many possibilities, that as you can see, with their approach, when they were left without a strong leader in the night of Svarig, those dark infernal forces were at the peak of their destructive capabilities. They did everything to rob the nation of the Soviet Union to commit genocide.
Были в самом своем, так сказать, в самом своих возможностях, вот этих деструктивных. И они, естественно, все сделали для того, чтобы ограбить народ Советского Союза для того, чтобы устроить геноцид.
At Bretton Woods, it was agreed that the regulator of the entire financial system would be the International Monetary Fund. White spiritual boy collateral gold was placed on accounts called red accounts in central banks, or top 25 system banks.
В банках или 25 крупнейших системных банках.
The Bank for International Settlements was in charge of clearing the balance sheet and off-balance sheet collateral gold, that is, it ensured coverage and transactions.
Обеспечение и транзакции.
That's how legal countries worked.
Легитимные страны.
The rest, colonial, were connected to other banks such as Deutsche Bank or JP Morgan.
Deutsche Bank или JP Morgan.
For example, Kazakhstan does not have access through BIS, but through JP Morgan.
JP Morgan.
In the Russian Federation, the main regulator does not have a direct red account.
Red счета.
The main regulator of the RF was controlled by these banks, which made a colony out of the Soviet Union.
В колонию.
With the help of traders in the fifth column, they dismantled the entire leadership of the Soviet Union.
Союза.
Criminal groups such as the Z Group or Yeltsin-Semja clan infiltrated the KGB and robbed Soviet accounts.
КГБ и воровали советские счета.
For many years we have been told that the Fed is a state-owned American bank.
Государственным американским банком.
In reality, the Fed is a private bank that created a network of central banks.
Таких же частных центральных банков.
In the beginning, the creation of this network was financed by Stalin, that is, by the Soviet people. The goal was to fairly regulate assets that were on red accounts.
Находящихся на red-счетах.
The Soviet Union made sure the system was fair.
Система была справедливой.
That is why the USSR had to be removed from the map. The plan was to turn it into a dictatorial robbery system, which the bankers managed to achieve.
Что банкирам и удалось сделать.
Protectors and asset owners were constantly subjected to attacks and extortion from these terrorists who illegally appropriated this system that was established by the Soviet Union.
Систему, созданную Советским Союзом.
The United States of America was the first to start violating the agreements of 1960 and 1962.
1962 годов.
The Democrats, most of whom are Hasids under the leadership of the Fed, that is, the Rothschilds, Morgans, Rockefellers, Baruchs, Oppenheimers, imposed financial and power hegemony on the U.S. leadership.
И силовую гегемонию.
So what did the Fed do? What crime did they commit?
Они сделали преступление.
The fact is that the fiat system is based on the Jamaican Agreement, the Jamaica Accords, where the term trust is mentioned. Trust are trading indices that had U.S. bonds.
Имели американские облигации.
They created a system of artificial support of trading indices. In what way?
Каким образом?
These American Illuminati families founded corporations in various states based on cooperative law, shareholding law, and international law.
На основе кооперативного права, боевого права, международного.
To make it impossible to control these corporations, to conduct audits in them without their consent. This is according to the law. These corporations were not outwardly connected to the Fed. But when the bonds needed to be traded, the secret leadership of the Fed gave these corporations access to steal cash funds from white spiritual boys' main cumulative accounts and also from white spiritual boys' sub-accounts, where based on the world financial system contract the money for the use of my family's assets went.
Со счетов, накопительных счетов White Spiritual Boy и субсчетов White Spiritual Boy, куда поступали деньги на основании соглашения о мировой финансовой системе за использование активов моей фамилии.
The parasites were increasing defense budgets to protect the country from the evil Soviet Union.
Советского Союза.
Their greed knew no bounds. The money printing machines went full throttle.
Работали на полную мощность.
The very strategy of usurping the financial system and dividing the territory by criminal gangs led them to collapse.
Привела их к краху.
They forgot one thing, that these red accounts, collateral accounts of white spiritual boy, were never the property of states and politicians.
Собственностью государств и политиков.
In addition, artificial intelligence, God's providence, began to work in favor of good, which, based on the right of the owner of the assets, issues bans and stops illegal transactions.
И отслеживает незаконные сделки.
The economy came to a standstill, not based on their made-up disease. God's providence started the process of completely stopping the criminal activity of this system, with the aim of preventing their plan to implement the Third World Nuclear War.
И, значит, в целях того, чтобы они не реализовали свой план, это Третья мировая война ядерная там.
So that they don't destroy humanity, because all scenarios lead to this goal of theirs. The engine, or the tool for realizing all this, by building everything on money, capitalism, dark Khazaria, the tool in their hands is only one. It is these means of payment that they call money.
Только один, это вот эти платежные средства, которые они называют деньгами.
The owners of all the world's assets did not see a way out of this situation until the Light Great Russia Cooperative appeared, as the state people's organ of the USSR.
Орган СССР.
The protectors saw that our cooperative has properly established itself in international law, and this system of ours is capable of doing all the processes for the bright transformation of humanity.
Преобразование человечества.
Therefore, they decided to transfer all assets to the treasury of the civil company Light Great Russia.
Светлая Великая Русь.
Salamine Risal, as the highest spiritual level and protector of assets, transferred and handed over all the sacred gold to the treasury.
Of the High Excellency Alexander Paramonov. Today, Alexander Paramonov, all officers present today.
Through the transfer of these assets, the treasury received M1 status. After being renamed to International Treasury Monetary 1 M1, everything was reported to all international institutions, including the UN.
Включая ООН.
By having certain possibilities to work with artificial intelligence,
работы с искусственным интеллектом.
I want to tell you that M1 today has a function. Firstly, M1 is a people's organization. You must understand that. And secondly, it has the function of owner, legislator, and controller of the global financial system.
Законодатель и контролера мировой финансовой системы.
With the fact that M1 is no longer just about inheriting, securing, and owning the world financial system that is created, M1 in general must serve the nation.
Вообще должен служить народу.
This system is created directly for the nation.
Для народа, да, эта система.
Families who were only managers in the financial system were never allowed into the depth of the system.
Допускались в ее глубь.
They tried to create different parallel schemes. They were all arrested. What matters is who owns the assets, contracts, and sacral codes, sacral matrices.
Священные матрицы.
They have been in the hands of the Slavs since 2018.
В руках славян.
Why is it said that the Slavs are now the only breakthrough force? Because Slavs carry ancient genetics.
Генетику.
The knowledge of the earth heavenly stream, the image of the rod, tribe, parable, the supreme creator. That is why it is encoded in us. There are many Slavs on
На
earth,
земле очень много славян.
various Slavs. They simply do not know and do not remember. Slavs are not a nation. Slavs are knowledge. Knowledge that was also passed down genetically and from generation to generation. That's kultura, culture. It is a state of consciousness. It is the level of the soul. Because if it is a high soul, it is able to maintain and protect this knowledge, to defend it, carry it, and realize it. When I took over the inheritance, when I took over all the rights of ownership, management, and administration of the world financial system, through White Spiritual Boy, through the order of the Hospitallers, and through divine providence.
Через White Spiritual Boy, через Орден Госпитальеров, через Божье провидение, то я все, так сказать,
I still hoped that this existing, fiat, parasitic system, so to speak, would step on the right path.
начнет выходить на правильное, так сказать, правильное русло.
Bankers, banks, etc. Well, later, when I worked with them for some time, I understood that none of them follow the letter of the law, that they all only rely on criminal concepts that were expanded in this system by the Rothschilds, respectively Illuminati.
Ротшильдами, ну, иллюминатами.
I understood that all the management positions of this unified network were filled by their people.
Все это по сети руководителей, в единую сеть.
This system does not work for man. It is criminal and only implements the plans of these, so to speak, insane enemies of humanity.
Вот этих, так скажем, сумасшедших врагов человечества.
All the highest representatives of the Russian Federation Corporation were also informed about all changes in the financial system and ownership of the RF by Light Great Russia.
Высшие представители корпорации Российской Федерации.
So, going back to that, answering your question, where did we get the money from? I confirm once again that all the assets that we have taken ownership of to manage, this mission that we have taken upon ourselves, the mission of a way out of the global financial crisis, of the fair distribution of these golden assets among countries, so that people have them in accordance with Basel III international standards, so that the countries have a gold cover, so that people have backed money, so that the money does not lose its value, so that what they earn, they can leave to their descendants in monetary equivalent and not fear that it will be subject to hyperinflation.
Обеспеченные деньги, чтобы они не теряли свою ценность, чтобы заработанное можно было в денежном эквиваленте оставить своему потомку и не боясь, что оно подвержется гиперинфляции.
Game is over, game is over, game is over.
Game is over.
And why is the game over? Bretton Woods 2 ends.
Бреттон-Вудской системы 2.
That's right, the game is over. No more parasitic agreements and trusts. M1 began to act in order to prevent panic, the collapse of the world economy, and the entire world financial system.
Мировой финансовой системы.
An important step is to build such a financial system to eliminate geopolitical tensions between countries that could lead to the outbreak of World War III.
Странами, которая может привести к началу Третьей мировой войны.
As the absolute owner and chief regulator of the global financial system, as the absolute owner and administrator of all world assets in the entire world space according to the exclusive historical right from the creator of the new era.
Согласно исключительному историческому праву создателя новой эры, М1 7
M1 issued the first resolution on April 7, 2020. With this step, it started the transformation of the financial system into a new financial system, secured by the system's balance sheet gold M0 XAU.
М0 КСАУ.
The last modification of the first resolution of October 5 established the following three reserve currencies with their symbols and values.
Валюты с их символами и значениями.
Gold Soviet ruble with full code M0 M1 XAU GSR and control code GSR.
GSR и контрольным кодом GSR.
The SI symbol. 1 golden ruble is equal to 1 gram of gold. Gold dollar with full code M0 M1 XAU GDL. Control code GDL.
GDL. Код управления GDL.
The symbol. 1 gold dollar is equal to 1 gram of gold. Gold PEC. Full code M0 M1 XAU PQ. Control code PQ.
Код управления PQ.
The symbol. 1 gold PEC equals 1 gram of gold. For the Soviet people, resolution number 13 is important, which concerns the role of the State Bank of the Soviet Union in the reconstruction of the entire financial system.
Всей финансовой системы.
CBRF fulfills U.S. objectives through orders from the International Monetary Fund. Therefore, M1 approved the Gosbank of the Soviet Union as the main, and the only, financial regulator throughout the territory of the USSR. All functions of the State Bank of the USSR were activated. Printing of banknotes, coinage, management of all state accounts and bonds, as well as supervision of the banks of Russia, RSFSR, in cooperation with the FSB, KGB of the USSR.
КГБ СССР.
Now it will be necessary to erase the fiat system. It will be destroyed.
Она будет уничтожаться.
Nothing new, neither BIS, nor CBDC, all these are useless toys. It's just, they already know that none of it works anymore. They don't know what to do.
Не работает и не знают, что им делать.
Resolution number 28th of March, 18, 2023 placed outside the KON and outside the law all international and state groups that issue any currencies, as well as any digital currencies, any means of payment, as well as any digital means of payment.
Платежные средства, а также любые цифровые платежные средства.
If anyone wants to issue any currency, they must have permission from M1 and the currency must be backed by System Bank Gold M0, XAU.
Системным банковским золотом М0 КСАУ.
All currencies must be officially registered and have permission from the chief regulator of the global banking system, the World Sovereign Bank of the Order of Hospitallers.
Всемирного суверенного банка Ордена Госпитальеров.
Resolution number 42 of October 18, 2023 also communicates the prohibition of digital currencies.
Цифровых валют.
The Order of the Hospitallers of St. John of Jerusalem, Rhodes, Malta, the Supreme Sovereign Order of the Hospitallers, is Russia's historically oldest sovereign order, which is above all existing orders.
Выше всех существующих орденов.
Knights with immense abilities always come and awaken at a time when humanity is on the brink of an abyss.
Когда человечество находится на краю пропасти.
The task of the order is to help the nation go through the transformation to the new world. The Order of the Hospitallers is a bright brotherhood that carries light, knowledge, wisdom, arism, reason. When transitioning to the new financial system, there is no negotiation, but command. One of the most important steps in changing the world was the establishment and launch of the new World Bank of the Order of Hospitallers, which is headquartered in Bratislava.
Квартира которого находится в Братиславе.
In the new RAM1 system, M1 is the chief regulator of the entire financial system.
Регулятор всей финансовой системы — это М1.
The main regulator of the banking system is the Sovereign Bank of the Order of Hospitallers. All the assets, all the accounts, all the gold that was taken from the entire fiat banking system that was criminally taken over by the Illuminati gang, all these accounts are transferred to the Sovereign Bank of the Order of Hospitallers.
Не общество, а банда иллюминатов. Все эти счета переданы в суверенный банк ордена госпитальеров.
They are placed there. M1 is their owner, who placed all these riches in the Sovereign Bank of the Order of Hospitallers.
Банки орденов госпитальеров.
The Sovereign Bank of the Order of Hospitallers is the new World Bank and is also the main regulator of the world banking system.
Также главным регулятором мировой банковской системы.
White Spiritual Boy RSB Global Corporation throughout the world, President, General Director, His Majesty Alexander Nikolaevich Permanov and the Sunrise Program, Cooperative LGR Light Great Russia is the strength of the Alpha Omega spiritual family.
Кооператив LGR. Светлая Великая Русь. Это сила духовной семьи Альфа-Омега.
I'm very happy for you all. The opening of the World Sovereign Bank of the Order of Hospitallers is a good day for us all. I am Salamin Rizal.
День для всех нас. Я Саламин Ризал.
Thank you. I love you. Goodbye. The World Sovereign Bank of the Order of Hospitallers is a bank for all people in the world.
Всех людей мира.
Our task was to build a new banking and financial system, which we are going to launch for the welfare of all nations.
Которую мы собираемся запустить на благо всех народов.
The world was always being saved by those who knew, and they knew how to save the world so that the nation believed. The nation will believe when we start.
Чтобы народ поверил. Народ поверит, когда мы начнем.
And the time has come when we are going to start our banks. At the same time, we will instruct you where to open your accounts. And everyone will either do it or not do it based on their free will. Based on the fact that we give you an instruction in the form of an image, symbol, signal. Like I said a long time ago, that symbol and starter will be a shot from the aurora.
Станет выстрел с Авроры.
As a start to the new life.
Жизни.
The old world fiat financial system is being erased and a new financial system, backed by gold, is gradually being launched.
Обеспеченное золотом.
All banks and all systemic banks have been notified of this in the last 3 years.
И все системообразующие банки мира.
Today there is no World Bank, Bank of America, etc. They simply don't exist. They've been firing everyone there for half a year. Layoffs are taking place in central banks of many countries. It's happening everywhere. They're just silent about it. The media lie. They have the task of maintaining the image in people's minds that they have everything under control. They have nothing. They don't know what to do and where to run. The parasites who tortured humanity. Corresponding orders have been sent to all of them, in which they are deprived of the right to settle, control, and manage any of the world's financial banking assets in the entire world space. They do not have this right. They have no rights and no money. Money is a right. From February 2nd, 2023 to March 2nd, 2023, M1 canceled the collateral accounts of all system banks and organizations. The assets were transferred to the Sovereign Bank of the Order of Hospitallers. Banks and organizations with seized assets, United States Treasury,
Казначейство США,
Bank of England, Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation HSBC, Makati Philippines,
Макати, Филиппины,
Pasan Bank Central Hong Kong, Commerce Bank Singapore, Development Bank of the Philippines DBP Los Angeles, Metro Bank, Federal Reserve System, and another 14 banks and organizations. Resolution number 37 dated August 11, 2023 declared the Central Bank of the Russian Federation, Bank of Russia CBRF, Central Bank RF and its associates and owners, as an international criminal, terrorist, separatist and extremist organization.
Сепаратистской и экстремистской организацией.
CBRF was completely blocked. All financial subjects must apply to the Gosbank of the USSR for a permit to operate. As of August 30th, 2023, Bank of Russia banknotes, the Russian ruble, are considered counterfeit and subject to a total ban.
Банка СССР считаются фальшивыми и подлежат полному запрету.
In Resolution number 40 of October 2nd, 2023, all these criminal extremist organizations were banned and placed outside the KON, outlawed and declared for immediate liquidation.
И объявлены к немедленной ликвидации.
All their assets are subject to immediate confiscation and transfer to the balance sheet of the Sovereign International Treasury M1.
Казначейство М1.
The Global Sovereign Declaration of October 9, 2023 definitively started the global transition of the entire world financial system and the entire world to the gold standard.
Системы и всего мира на золотой стандарт.
The global backing of the entire world financial system was fully credited to this account.
Всей мировой финансовой системы.
The Sovereign International Treasury M1, on the basis of the XAU Global Account, issued 3 reserve hedging system currencies: gold Soviet ruble, gold dollar, and gold peku.
Золотой доллар и золотой пекью.
The State Committee on the State of Emergency of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, as the supreme body of the state power of the Great Sovereign Land, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, confirmed on September 28 that from July 13, 1990, the State Bank of the RSFSR was restored on the basis and on the balance sheet of the State Bank of the USSR.
Основании и балансе Государственного банка СССР от 13 июля 1990 года.
At the same time, it confirmed that the Ministry of Finance of the Russian Federation Corporation is not and cannot be recognized as the predecessor and founder of the Bank of Russia. It also confirmed the procedure for the transition to the gold standard. M1 has approved as a temporary means of payment the banknote of the Bank of Russia, the Russian ruble, with the code M1 XAU BBR, which will be backed by the world reserve currency, the golden Soviet ruble GSR.
Резервной валютой, золотым советским рублем GSR.
The value of 3,000 BBR rubles will be equal to 1 gold Soviet ruble with the code M0 M1 XAU GSR.
КСАУ GSR.
An important order is to fix and prohibit the artificial increase in prices of vital items.
На жизненно необходимые вещи.
It is forbidden to export the gold Soviet ruble outside the borders of the USSR. In document SUR-13, the State Committee on the State of Emergency decided to allocate from the budget the full amount of funds in gold Soviet rubles, namely 9,000, M0 M1, XAU, GSR, to each citizen of the Soviet Union.
Советских рублей.
Document SUR-14 orders to set aside funds in gold Soviet rubles for the support of local legitimate people's state bodies of power and credit them to a special treasury account in the State Bank of the USSR, in accordance with the adopted budget for 2023 to 2024.
Счет в Госбанке СССР в соответствии с принятым бюджетом на 2023-2024 годы.
In document SUR-15, the State Committee on the State of Emergency orders to prepare all the necessary documents and technical possibilities for the restoration and for the sustainable systemic functioning of the social security of the sovereign citizens of the USSR.
Функционирование системы социального обеспечения суверенных граждан СССР.
In another regulation, the budget for the fourth quarter of 2023 and for the year 2024 was approved in the amount of 33,340,000,000 gold Soviet rubles M0 M1, XAU, GSR.
M1 XAU, GSR.
In SUR-17, a compensatory payment to all sovereign citizens of the USSR in the number of 350 million people was approved.
350 миллионов человек.
The total amount paid out will be 3,150,000,000,000 gold Soviet rubles.
Советских рублей.
Document SUR-18 communicates the pension provision for the year 2024 in the amount of 2,520,000,000 gold Soviet rubles.
20 миллионов золотых советских рублей.
Sovereign citizens of the Soviet Union.
Советского Союза.
The time of liberation from slavery is here. Now you know what belongs to you and how you can start building a new life if you take it into your own hands.
Правительство своей новой жизни, если возьмете ее в свои руки.
The first step is to open an account in the Gosbank of the USSR. Everything is prepared on the Gosbank USSR.ru website. On the website, click on Banking. The next step is to register. Step by step, you fill in all your information, verify your email address, phone number, and upload documents. Next, you will follow the next instructions. It is important to follow the government site of the Soviet Union where you will find all the documents and learn everything you need to start organizing yourselves.
Все, что вам нужно, чтобы начать организовываться.
Because a nation is only a nation when it is organized.
Когда он организован.
Your brothers prepared it for you. Now it's your turn.
Теперь ваша очередь.
Cooperatives are being formed all over the world, which are united into one big whole. People in every country will be freed from the domination of debt.
От господства долга.
There is a difference between the cooperatives that remained under Illuminati control, the ones I mentioned, the American system, the British system, the Swiss system, and between our cooperatives.
Швейцарская есть отличия между нашими кооперативами и ихними.
Their cooperatives are empty and in debt. To date, they owe them more than $20 quadrillion. Think how they were managing all this in their debt system? And there is a new sunrise system that is all filled with gold, XAU.
Золотом, КСАО.
A system that is filled with energies. Current money is backed and works for the welfare of the
Они
nation.
работают на благо народа.
The presence of such a cooperative in a given state, in which the cooperative holds and manages the state's balance sheet, gives the state money, so such a cooperative will control that there is no genocide in the state, so that power in the state is in the hands of the nation. And for the state to fulfill the cone of creation on earth. That is the main KON. Any state, any society, even any cooperative that deviates from the cone of creation will be blocked.
Из кона созиданий он будет блокирован.
The time has come to stop being afraid. You are no longer dependent on the old system. Citizens of the great sovereign land of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, you are free.
Вы свободны.
Thanks to the power of brotherhood and thanks to the man the whole world was waiting for,
Которого ждал весь мир.
Ataman Paramonov. Who is the leader here? Me. Wrong answer. I'm the leader here. Who allowed the concert? And why do we have to? Because everything in this city has to be approved by me. But freedom of speech. Only one word here has freedom, and that's my word. the transition to a new financial system, one does not negotiate, but commands. Do you think it would have been possible to stop such a huge dark power? A power based on money? If it wasn't for a person who has such great abilities as Alexander? Do you think there wouldn't have been a Third World War a long time ago if someone with the rights and codes and power of the supreme rod, tribe, didn't block all their accounts? The game of the gods is over. The battle between darkness and light is at its peak. The darkness doesn't stand a chance anymore. On the side of light, an ordinary person from the crowd has appeared, making a name for himself and rising from below by illuminating the truth. There are already legends about his actions. After all the steps, it comes to an open confrontation. Nothing can be hidden anymore. Everyone drops their masks. Evil no longer has the strength to resist the power of man, the Son of the All-God, the All-Creator, the All-Creating Supreme Rod, tribe. In the human body on Suraj Earth rusts the Absolute Sovereign, the heir of the whole Earth.
Абсолютного суверена, наследника всей земли.
The Tsar of Tsars, His Majesty Alexander and his collaborators with enormous abilities who possess immense divine power have quietly, step by step won the battle and destroyed the fiat financial system.
Выигрывали битву и разрушили фиатную финансовую систему.
Slavery system, the evil on which the entire parasitic world was built. The family of protectors handed over everything to Alexander Nikolaevich Permanov, who is a white spiritual boy, according to the plan as the 13th, breaks the vicious circle, opens the stream of evolution and frees.
Поток эволюции и освобождает людей.
The whole world is waiting for someone. Who are you waiting for? For the arrival of whom? Palestinians await the arrival of Imam Mahdi. This is he, the man who will restore justice. All the spiritual fathers recognized him because they see his actions. You have all the evidence of his deeds around you. He stopped the plan of darkness. We are still alive. The Third World War has not and will not happen only thanks to an ordinary man who does not excel in anything, only in his views on the world and his actions.
Только в своих взглядах на мир и в своих действиях.
M1 is a manifestation of the higher powers of light and at the same time the incarnation of bright gods who are able to build a transitional and new model of life on our earth.
И новую модель жизни на нашей земле.
That's why I call upon all people, all bloggers. Stop trusting verified sources and various insiders. Believe in actions. Together, let US unite the nation and nations. His Majesty Alexander showed us his strength, and despite the pressure, no one could stop him. All the ways to remove him were not realized for supernatural reasons.
Попытки его устранения не были реализованы по сверхъестественным причинам.
He stood up for us all as Ricker, Knight, our Ikomaj Kar, the chosen Tsar who reached all 9 levels of consciousness as Car Selmajarij.
Уровней сознания, как царь, цельный арий,
The one who came to show the truth and restore justice.
и восстановить справедливость.
Now is the time to stand by his side and defeat evil forever.
Всегда победить зло.
We, the citizens of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, thank Alexander Nikolaevich and support the restoration of our homeland, peace, goodness, prosperity.
Восстановление нашей Родины. Мира, добра, процветания.
Hungary also supports Alexander. Germany salutes M1 and thanks him for his valuable work. Also, Czech Republic supports Alexander and it can't be stopped. Angola also supports Alexander. Chile also supports Alexander. Slovakia also supports Alexander. We were born in the Soviet Union, and we will remain in it.
В нем и останемся.
We will not allow traitors and terrorists to destroy our bright future.
Наше светлое будущее.
We support the Tsar of Tsars in liberating our homeland, the USSR, from vile traitors.
СССР от подлых захватчиков.
Together we will stop the genocide. I would like to give one piece of advice to all brothers and sisters, to all people on earth. One good piece of advice they should listen to. They have to wake up. They have to realize and see that crooked theater, the criminal theater that is directed against themselves.
Кривой театр, преступный театр, преступление, которое направлено против них самих.
They must stop participating in it, stop supporting it, stop talking about it, stop thinking about it.
Прекратите о нем говорить, о нем думать. Надо понять.
You need to understand what is happening in the world. You need to see all those killers, pedophiles, zoophiles, those childless perverts who are now put in charge of these corporations called states. Look, not a single leader of the European Union has children. How can they run society? How can they love children? Who in general are they capable of loving, except for their own asses? Nobody. They are psychopaths, bred, artificially genetically modified psychopaths filled with non-existent dogmas.
Наполнены догмами несуществующими.
Dogmas aimed at the destruction of the world. This must be realized. They have no power. All the powers are given to them by the people themselves, by trusting them, talking about them, discussing them, praising them, criticizing them. It doesn't matter. Stop looking at these carrion. Look at your relatives, loved ones, your country, your homeland, your land. Arasm, reason, knowledge, brotherhood, that should really be present in you. The one who doesn't realize these things won't figure it out. I feel very sorry for these people. That's why I give them advice. Turn to the light. Light is knowledge. The right knowledge, the real knowledge. Stop repeating like parrots who said what. Think with your head. Check things out. Become thinkers. Trust can only be given with justification. You can't trust the pretty pictures on the TV. Nice clothes or some emotional performance of some actors on this TV scene. It is necessary to verify things legitimately and sensibly, because it's your life. Rod, the Supreme Creator, gave you life. And you must respect it and treat it very thoughtfully, correctly, seriously, and maturely. Then your life will transform into your ascending path of the Creator you are meant to become. You are to create. You have to develop. You have to be very, very strong. Thank you.
Очень-очень сильно. Благодарю.
холостяк, в жизни важен первый шаг. Слышишь, реют над страною ветры яростных атак. И вновь продолжает собой, и сердцу тревожно в груди. И Ленин такой молодой, и юный октябрь впереди. И Ленин такой молодой, и юный октябрь впереди. Весь летит во все концы, вы поверьте нам, отцы. Будут новые победы, станут новые бойцы. Милости не жди, жизнь для правды не щади. Нам, ребята, в этой жизни только с правдой по пути.